And now I'm going to intentionally do this because I know your OCD can't handle it if I don't break every single spike in the room. So yeah, deal with that. Alright. So that takes care of this whole section of the catacombs. Now we gotta go explore the other side. We're gonna just ignore those slimes. Actually, you can also double jump on them and take them out that way. Hey, get back here, Bonar. Where you going? Yeah, that's what I thought. And, you know what? I think, don't quote me on this, I'm not positive, but I think, nope, I lied. There is no secret door, no, breakable wall over there. So let's continue onward. No, I want the gem. Good. So yeah, in some of these coffins, there is blood skeletons, so be careful. But honestly, you know, they're pretty easy to defeat, so don't even worry about it. Over here, get this heart max up and life max up. We're gonna need it. Alright, so this guy coming up, he's a little tough. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit him with some hellfire here. You wanna stay crouched underneath his stuff. And kind of just run up to him and, you know, body him that way. Alright, so these enemies coming up... Uh-oh, did we freeze? I hope not. So these enemies coming up is... You know, they do some pretty nasty fire damage, so I recommend getting some fire protection from the Herald Shield. Not that they're... You can't avoid them, but it just will make your life easier. And I'm going to keep the shield rod equipped for this Discus Lord. You know, I forget what the shield rod's special ability like that does. Oh yeah, the Discus Lord is a little bit of a pain in the ass right now. Alright, asshole. I see how it is. What is... Oh, you know what? I just realized I never showed off the Summon Spirit. Let me do that. Oh, son of a bitch. And what that does, it pretty much summons like a homing missile that'll go hit them. And then there is another version of it that's called the Tetra Spirit. And pretty much what that does is it summons 4 of them at once. I don't remember the input for that either. I gotta look that one up. There we go. Yeah, screw you. Let's get the Ballroom Mask. I don't think that's worth equipping, but I want to double check. Lower max use a ball. It's gonna lower our intelligence like crazy. What do we have equipped right now? The Topaz Circlet? Why did we equip that? I don't quite remember. Why don't we have the Silver Crown equipped? Whatever, that's weird. We should have the Silver Crown equipped this whole time. Boosting our intelligence a little bit more. Grab this heart max up. Check that wall. Nothing there. Aha! See now, on that one, they just let you know. They point a sign right at it. And over here, you'll get Ice Brand. So yeah, you actually don't need to buy Ice Brand. You can actually pick it up right here. And Ice Brand is kind of like the Holy Sword, in that it has like a special ability that takes a little bit of mana. And the Ice Brand is really effective against enemies that are fire-based. Now against this Discus Lord, it's not really that useful. And I'm gonna Soul Steal from him because I need the health. Ow, you bastard. But I'm going to go back this way for a sec, because I want to show you that, see, it does full damage to these guys. Much more damage. Alright, let's deal with this asshole again. So actually, probably the best thing to do, now that I think about it, is stay within his minimum range and just kind of predict his swings and jump over it. Because that actually made that fight way easier. Perfect. We're moving right along. Hop in through here. I don't think there's anything in this room. I think this is just like a fake troll room. There's like a little coin in there. That's about it. And are you a safe room? I think you are. Yes. Yes, you are. Now, something you might miss is that there's an exit on the other side of the save room, so make sure you go through there. That way we get the walk armor. And now the walk armor is an interesting piece of armor because the defense of the walk armor improves the more of the map you explore. So it is an armor piece that you will, you know, keep coming back to as you explore more often, as it, because, you know, you're going to go into a room, you're going to find armor that's a little bit better, you'll put that on. Then after a while, go back, check and see what the walk armor's new defense score is like, because it might be better than what you have. Nice. And now, I believe I want the Holy Sword for this one. Because I don't really think the Ice Brand's going to do me any favors here. Holy Sword, 52. I was just curious what the damage on the S-Stock is with this equipped. Really nothing impressive, alright. So here we get an enemy called Grand Falloon. And if you played other Castlevania games, this enemy actually shows up in other games too. And his name is Legion. And he is a pretty freaky enemy. And there's a couple of different strategies you can use against him. Honestly, I recommend really just standing over here and using the big fireball version of Hellfire. And that'll keep you safe from all of those zombies that he spawns on the ground. And you can pretty much benefit from range attacks. If you also are feeling a little creative, you can hurl those gems too, because they'll bounce off the floor and hit them. And pretty much we're going to use up all our MP doing this. But that's okay. Because what we need to do is we need to break the... we need to break that, you know, outer shell of corpses over here. So that way we can have access to his core. Another thing you can always do is soul steal, because remember, he's a boss with multiple parts. So each bit of soul steal will target, you know, everything individually. So you'll siphon health from all the different parts of the boss. And here we get our life max up. Nice. And we can press onward. Hop up over this way. We will get Mormagill. And Mormagill is kind of like the dark equivalent of the Holy Sword, I believe. Yep, strong versus holy. So pretty much same kind of deal as the other elemental swords. What I am actually going to do is... yeah, we'll use Mormagill for now. Why not? I see no reason not to. Have a little fun with it. Apparently we picked up a broadsword at some point. I don't even remember grabbing that. But Mormagil is not really worth using a lot of the time, because there's only a few enemies in the game that take extra damage from dark, and a lot of them are actually resistant to dark. And I want to equip it right now to just kind of show you as we go. Also, when you come back in here, for some reason, they have put platforms in here to make life easy for you. I don't really get why, though, because in order to even get down here, you need to have the bat transformation. So you should already have the bat transformation to be able to get down here. Alright, so what I want to do now is we're going to look at the map and see where we got left to go. We haven't gone to the clock tower yet. We got to explore that still. But if you remember, there's also that little room in the chapel, that hallway that had spikes that we couldn't get to before. We're going to head that way now. Take him out. Take him out. And I actually don't think I'm going to need the diamond plating, now that I think about it. So, oh. That's alright, you can just hit me all you want. What I'm going to do is, if I could get it to trigger, come on. Man, sometimes these inputs, they do not register. There we go. Oh, son of a... All the time with you. Does Mormagil lower my intelligence score? Or is he just resistant to the weapon I had? No, doesn't do anything like that. Alright, press on. So, our game plan here is we're going to go back to that teleporter. That way we can teleport back to Dracula's castle. Honestly, what we could be doing, and what I probably should be doing, is I should have just used the library card, now that I think about it. Right? Where is the library card? There we go. Let's use one. I've only used one once before in this playthrough, so... Excuse me while I take a little drink. My throat gets sore from talking. Let's pop in here while we're at it. Let's sell some gems. We got a couple of gems we can sell, so... There we go. And you know what, while we're here, let's just see what we got. We can buy some usable items from him, but I'm not going to bother with that right now. Pretty much any item he sells isn't really worth it. Harper, not really worth it. Diamond plate, actually only 1 point better than the walk armor right now. Not worth it at all. Reverse cloak we own. Joseph's cloak. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to save up money for the Joseph's cloak. That way we can come back and get it and we can have a little fun. Oh, you know what I should do? Let me buy magic scroll number 4. Or it tells me how to do Tetra Spirits. And I also need to unequip that library card, put back on the Herald Shield. And what else did I want to do? Oh, I wanted to look at... So, okay. So, when the arrow is red like that, it means you hold it to charge it. And then that's Tetra Spirit right there. It would have been more interesting if there were enemies for it to hit, but... Hey, you can't win them all. So the Duron can actually, earlier in the game, it wouldn't be useful right now, it would still happen, but the Durons can drop a weapon that is called a rapier, and that is probably the first weapon you'll encounter if you get it to drop early that has a special ability associated with it. And the special ability for that one is actually pretty cool, because you know, Alucard like thrusts with it, but then there's like a whole bunch of like like almost like he's thrusting like a million times, like super fast. I don't know, I just always thought it was a cool thing. I was kind of hoping it would drop right there so I could at least pick it up and show you the special animation with it. But alas, it didn't, so here we are. We're stuck now. We're also going to switch out the Fairy Familiar in a second, but one thing I want to show you is if we get cursed, the Fairy Familiar will actually use the uncurse for us. But I also don't want to wasting all the uncurses. Not that we really need them. But let's check out Familiar. She's doing pretty good. She's at level 8. Let's pop in. Let's pop in the demon. We haven't really seen all that much of the demon. So if you really wanted to grind Familiars now, the best place, I guess, to do it would be in the main hall where all the zombies spawn, or actually probably where all the mermen spawn. Just because there's a lot of enemies that are infinite in supply that you will be able to defeat. I'm not sure though what would give the Familiar the most XP in this stage of the game. Alright, so we're going up to that teleporter over there. And we will take the elevator. And we want the lion, because we're going to the castle keep. Perfect. We have full, I don't know, lion collecting hearts. I don't know, that's just like a Castlevania thing. You just collect hearts as you go, you can't help it. I'm sure there's like a psychological reason for why you do it even though you have full hearts. It's, you know, it's almost like you've been conditioned to just do it. Alright. So we got a little bit of a trek to go, but it's not long enough that I'm going to cut everything out. Instead, we are just going to kind of fling gems through this hallway. Here's the room we fought the Hippogriff in. You can appreciate the painting in the back one last time. Whoops. Take those out. I actually want to keep this. I'm having fun with it right now. This is actually one of the perfect areas to use this weapon too, because it's such a, like an enclosed space that it's gonna take out pretty much everything in that hallway. Is this where I want? Yes, it is. So come in here, equip the spike breaker, turn into mist. What's up, Maria?
So,
how'd you get in
did you
here?
find Richter?
I don't know if he's the one you're looking for, but I found a Belmont.
Really? So he is here?
But the one I saw was the enemy. He was the Lord of
Oh, come on. All I did was put the controller down.
this castle.
That can't be true. You're wrong. I must go now.
Listen, Maria, just relax, alright? I'm sure there's just some confusion going on. So over here we get the silver ring. If we look at the description for that. Oh, we got the bloodstone at some point too? Improves blood healing ability. Basically, when you use Dark Metamorphosis to heal, you'll get more health back with that. But what we're really here for is the silver ring. Has an inscription, in tower. I wonder if that means we're in Clock Tower. which it does not actually. What it actually means is to wear it in the clock room. So we're gonna head back there now, back to the Marble Gallery. And there's actually a really fast way to get there since we went to Olrox's quarters and we opened up the teleporter. So we're gonna head over there now. And I'm not gonna cut it, too. I'm just gonna keep rambling about something. So, one thing about Castlevania that Castlevania has kind of become, well, kind of became well known for, is its ever-expanding bestiary of, different monsters and creatures. And a lot of them kind of, they get added in one game and then they show up in every game after that. So, like, for instance, the crows have been in Castlevania since Castlevania 1 at the very least. The winged guards, I think they first appeared in Castlevania 3. Because I know for a fact they're in Castlevania 4. But I think they first showed up in Castlevania 3. The Bone Halberd is new to this game, I'm pretty sure. But the other thing about Symphony of the Night is that it reuses a lot of sprites from Rondo of Blood. And those sprites from Rondo of Blood became reused and reused and reused pretty much until the series, it's gonna hurt to say that it's dead, but Castlevania is pretty much dead, unfortunately. But yeah, so, like, the Bone Halberd sprite is in a lot of the Game Boy games. I think it's in a couple of the DS games as well. A lot of enemies in here show up pretty much verbatim in other games. And a lot of enemies in Symphony of the Night, like I said, first showed up in Rondo of Blood, which makes sense. Like, I'm talking about, like, their sprites are literally just the same sprite from Rondo of Blood. It makes sense, though, in this case, because this is only supposed to be 5 years after Rondo of Blood. But, hey, when you're a game developer, and I guess you got assets, I guess you can just reuse them. Especially if they're sprites, because, I mean, it's one thing with 3D models, because... Alright, let's be real here. It's a lot less work to make one 3D model that you can assign animations to than have to draw tons and tons of new sprites to create animations manually, if you get what I mean. I'm sure I just pissed off everybody who does modeling, but I'm not knocking you. I'm not saying that modeling is easy or anything like that. What I'm saying is you literally have less of a workload than someone who draws sprites. And that's part of the reason we went into the 3D realm, because it was easier and less intensive, and also less expensive. Because, sprite work, it takes a while for someone to draw all this stuff. Because then they have to colorize it too, and digitize it or whatever, turn it into pixels, and it's a big process. Whereas with modeling, sure, you have your beta stages of your model and you're putting together stuff like that. And yeah, you gotta develop a rig for the model and your controller has to disconnect randomly. But what I'm trying to say is, if you're gonna make a game based on sprites and you have a past library of games based on sprites, and they have aged pretty well, there's no reason not to use those old sprites, I guess. I guess the same could be said of models, too. I guess there's really no harm in using models as long as they haven't aged all that well. But that's the other thing with 3D modeling is, sprites have kind of hit their peak. They're not going to get any better. They're just going to be able to have higher definition. Whereas with models, we continue to push the boundaries all the time of how good we can make 3D models look. It's actually quite astounding. So what we're going to do here is we are going to equip the gold ring and the silver ring. And also because this is, I was going to say it's triggering my OCD, but there's nothing I can really do about it. So yeah, just equip those. The clock's gonna do some fancy stuff. We're gonna open up a whole new area. Spoiler alert. Awesome. Flop down here. And go save again. No reason not to. No reason to, but also no reason not to. We're gonna ignore that little elevator for just a second. Come over here. Get a life max up. Get the heart max up. I don't think this is breakable. And then we'll take the elevator down. Fall down here. And we enter this big, weird room. And you want to also make sure you explore it all, but first we're going to step on here. Get teleported up.
That voice, Maria?
I'm sorry. You were right. He has joined forces with the enemy.
So it was a Belmont after all.
But someone must be controlling him. Whatever we do, we can't harm Richter.
But he must be stopped.
I know. Well, here. Take these with you.
What are these?
If you wear these, you can see beyond evil illusions.
Thank you. 'Tis best then if you pray for the soul of your friend.
Alright, so she gives us the holy glasses. And if you look at them right now, it says it sees beyond magical curses. We are not going to equip them just yet. They have a specific purpose. And we'll cover that purpose soon enough. But for now, pretty much the only area of this map we have not explored is the clock tower. I just want to give it a once over and see if there's anything that immediately jumps out to me as being obvious that I missed. I think we're in pretty good shape, though. Right? Yeah. I think we're looking good. Okay. Let's go on up. Oops. A little super jump. I'll have to turn into a bat. Take the elevator back up. We're gonna head on over to the clock tower. There's a couple of ways we could get there. We could use a library card, but we're also right near the teleporter in Old Rox's quarters. So let's just wait a minute or two for that to open up. I'm gonna take another drink. My controller's gonna disconnect again. I think it might be a problem with my 360 now that I think about it, because, I mean, what are the odds that a wired controller and also a wireless controller both have connectivity issues? I think I just said wired controller twice. If I did, I apologize. I mean a wired and wireless controller. Like, what are the odds that both of those controllers are faulty and it's not something with the 360? Take out him. Ouch. I hate the skeletal rings. They are the bane of my existence. Also, we get a boomerang. Do we already have a boomerang? We do. So, whenever it says use, like that, in parentheses, I should have pointed this out earlier. That means it's one-time use. Just so you know. And I want to go up. That hurt. That was painful. Come on. Hey. There we go. That's because I'm using more McGill.